In an industry obsessed with numbers, a new record is often just a fleeting statistic. But what happens when a group accustomed to breaking records creates an achievement that feels different? When the cheers of victory leave room for deeper questions about the price to be paid and the future that must be fought for? This is not just a story about over 1 million albums sold. This is a portrait of Stray Kids on a new summit, a peak that may be lonelier and more challenging than they ever imagined. On November 21, 2025, Stray Kids, the 8 K-pop giants known for their self-produced music and back-to-the-origin philosophy, released their latest mini-album, Do It. Within the first 24 hours, data from Hanteo Chart, a trusted barometer for physical sales, recorded a fantastic figure: 1,496,768 copies. This number instantly placed Do It as the album with the highest single-day sales of 2025, surpassing the achievements of other top-tier groups. Yet, behind the resounding clatter of numbers echoing through media headlines, lies a more complex narrative about pressure, the evolution of identity, and a significant question: is this the pinnacle of their journey or merely the beginning of an entirely new chapter? To understand the wave created by Do It, we must step back. Stray Kids are no newcomers. Since their debut, they have built their own musical empire on a solid foundation: in-house production through 3RACHA, the production unit of Bangchan, Changbin, and Han; lyrics addressing the anxieties of the younger generation, and a sound that is aggressive yet melodic. They are the prodigies of JYP Entertainment who found their identity by challenging the conventions of their own production house. Before Do It, they already had a string of million-selling albums. They are consistent million sellers, award winners, and key players in the global K-pop wave. Their position was established, their image was clear: the uncompromising innovators. Therefore, when Do It was announced, expectations were at their peak. Its title was provocative, a blunt command. The promotional campaign ran with military precision: teaser photos and videos filled with symbolism, a highlight medley showcasing bolder sonic experiments, and interviews where the members seemed more reflective than usual. Bangchan, the leader, in a pre-release livestream mentioned, "This album was a process of searching for answers to many questions we asked ourselves." A statement that, in retrospect, was an early clue. Then the day arrived. The album was released. The title track, Race, was an energetic piece layered with lyrics that openly discussed the exhaustion of the race for success. Side tracks like Echo and Labyrinth explored themes of isolation and the search for meaning. The musicality remained quintessentially Stray Kids, but the nuance was darker, more introspective. And then the data came in: 1,496,768. A monumental figure. The media immediately reported it as another victory and proof of dominance. JYP Entertainment issued a formal thank you statement. But behind the scenes, the story wasn't that simple. The figure of 1.4 million is a monument, tangible proof of unwavering fan support. But what happens when that monument itself becomes a cage? When the "Do It" screamed by millions of fans starts to sound like a demand, not encouragement? In the next part, we will peel back the layers behind this record, the invisible pressures, internal dynamics, and a twist suggesting that Stray Kids' greatest success might be leading them to the most crucial crossroads of their career. If the first part was about celebration, the second is about calculation. Every record, especially in the hyper-competitive world of K-pop, comes with its own price. For Stray Kids, the price of 1.4 million first-day sales is calculated not just in rupiah or won, but in a more abstract and potentially more dangerous currency: psychological pressure, the erosion of boundaries between private and public life, and a nagging question: are they still on a path true to their back-to-the-origin philosophy? Let's dissect the twist. This phenomenal sales record ironically highlights a paradox faced by Stray Kids and the entire current generation of the K-pop industry. First, the fandom paradox. Stay, the Stray Kids fandom, is one of the most organized and loyal communities in the world. They are the engine behind these numbers. However, with such massive scale comes an intense culture of collectivity. Bulk buying of albums, streaming parties, and voting marathons are standard strategies to ensure chart success. Yet these practices create an illusion that artistic value is entirely equivalent to sales figures. Some industry analysts, whom we interviewed anonymously, express concern that this can dictate an artist's musical direction. Quote, when the numbers become so large, there is an unspoken pressure not to change the winning formula. Experimentation becomes a costly risk, end quote. Second, the burden of being self-produced. The self-produced label, which has long been Stray Kids' crown jewel, has now become a double burden. On one hand, they must meet immense commercial expectations. On the other, they must maintain the artistic integrity and authenticity that form the foundation of their brand. In the album Do It, one can feel the struggle to balance these two forces. The lyrics in Race and Echo are no longer mere metaphors. They sound like genuine cries from the heart. Is this a subtle rebellion against the industry machine they ride? An attempt to get back to the origin by talking about the burnout that comes from success itself. Reactions from the fan community are divided, though publicly they appear uniform. On platforms like Weverse and Twitter, many stays celebrated this achievement, calling it a deserved reward for their hard work. However, in more private forums and in lengthy YouTube comment discussions, other, more worried voices emerged. A longtime fan wrote, "I'm proud, but I'm also worried. They look so tired lately. I hope they're okay." Another fan questioned, "Are we, by buying albums in such large quantities, just adding to their burden?" More surprising were the quiet responses from fellow artists. A famous producer who had previously worked with them said in a podcast interview, without naming names, quote, "There comes a point where success becomes an echo chamber. All you hear are numbers and praise. The hardest challenge for artists like them is to step out of that chamber and stay connected to the reason they started making music in the first place." End quote. This comment, though indirect, seemed to target the very situation Stray Kids are facing. So where does Stray Kids stand now? They stand at the peak, surrounded by the debris of the records they themselves shattered while clutching the back-to-the-origin philosophy that may be increasingly difficult to live by. Do It may be more than just an album. It might be a mirror they are holding up to the world and to themselves. So what's the next step? Will they continue to meet the increasingly insane numerical expectations? Or will they take a bold step to redefine what success means to them? Success is a universal language, but its consequences are deeply personal. In the final part, we will not look back at the printed numbers, but look ahead to an uncertain future. A future where the next choices Stray Kids make will not only determine the trajectory of their careers, but could also potentially set a precedent for an entire industry that is watching them.
Every story about a peak is ultimately a story about what lies beyond it. Is it an abyss or a wider plateau? After the clamor of Do It sales subsides, after the analyses and concerns are voiced, one major question remains. What do Stray Kids truly want to achieve now? And more importantly, will the industry that raised them, with all its mechanisms and expectations, allow them to achieve it? The impact of Do It's success will be felt in the coming months and years, and it will force Stray Kids and JYP Entertainment to make crucial strategic choices. Scenario 1. The perpetual hit machine. This is the most predictable path. Stray Kids continue to produce music with a proven formula, strengthen their brand, and maintain their position as undisputed million sellers. They will continue with sold-out world tours, set new records, and act as global K-pop ambassadors. However, the risk of this scenario is artistic saturation. Can 3RACHA continuously create innovative music if trapped in a cycle of having to succeed? Will their lyrics lose their authentic flavor? Fans may remain loyal, but the creative fire that is the group's soul could slowly dim. Scenario 2. The strategic rebellion. This is a riskier path, but one more aligned with the spirit of Back to the Origin. Stray Kids could use their substantial success and influence to make unexpected moves. What form could this take? Perhaps a fully experimental and non-commercial full album, released with minimal promotion.
maybe they will become more vocal in criticizing the darker sides of the entertainment industry. Perhaps they will take a long hiatus for individual exploration, as seen with increasingly mature solo and unit projects. Such a move would shock many, but it would also cement their status not merely as idols, but as true artists, brave enough to take control of their own career narrative. Stray Kids are now in a unique and powerful position. They have financial strength, a massive fan base, and artistic credibility. The question is no longer can they break another record, but do they still want to in the same way? Do It may be the peak of one phase. Its imperative title, Do It, could be interpreted as a shout from the industry, or it could be a whisper from within themselves to act, to change, to redefine victory. Their race is not over. The finish line they've been chasing might actually be a new starting line. The start of a completely different race. A race against expectation, against routine, and against the shadow of their own success. They have proven they can do it. Now the world waits to see. What will they do next?